It is decision day over at the Amazon warehouse in Alabama. Roughly 6,000 workers closing in on what could be a historic vote to unionize its workforce. Yahoo Finance's Max Zahn has been following this story for us. Max, the voting process itself has been playing out for a month now. It's drawn a lot of big names, including Bernie Sanders, as well as actors like Danny Glover. What's the next step now that the voting process ends today?
So this is a huge milestone in this election. The union filed for a vote in November. So this is the end of a months-long process, and we've gotten to this point. Now, the issue is this is just the beginning of what could be days, weeks, or months until we know the result of this election. So what's next is starting tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern, both Amazon and the union and the labor board will jump on a virtual call, and they'll begin tallying these votes. Now, on each and every one of those votes, either Amazon or the union can challenge that vote based on whether it's the eligibility of the worker, where they belong or can belong to this union, or if it's on procedural grounds. So that's part of why we could see a slow process in the coming days of these vote tallies finally coming in. Now, if there's enough votes that get challenged that could move this result, and that gets taken to the board in a hearing, that again could take weeks or months. If we do get a result and there's not enough votes that get challenged and one side wins in this election in the coming days, then either side has 5 days to challenge the legitimacy of the vote. The union could say, listen, we lost, but Amazon's anti-union tactics, which have been well reported, violated federal labor law, and we want to nullify this election and do a revote. And if that happens, that could, again, take weeks and probably months of challenge. Now, if none of that happens, and this week maybe we'll finally get a vote, we could see the first ever union at Amazon, and that would be historic, and that would kick off a series of negotiations over pay, over working conditions that would set the grounds for the first ever union contract at Amazon in the company's history.
Yeah, so Max, it sounds like we've still got a ways to go until any result from this vote count becomes final. But ultimately, you've hit on 2 points here. One is the impact this would have on the fulfillment center we're talking about in Alabama. But what about the larger impact? Because a lot of people have been watching this vote as a potential indicator of how other warehouses, other fulfillment centers might move.
Absolutely. The stakes of this vote could not be higher. And the union has said that since the beginning of this union drive, they've heard from more than 1,000 workers at other Amazon facilities across the country that have expressed an interest in unionizing. Now, the results of this election could have huge bearing on whether those union drives go forward or whether they can really be successful. It's very difficult for a lot of reasons to get enough voters signed on to a union to trigger one of these votes at these other large facilities. So what we could see is this generates interest, but the question is, does the result of this favor the union? And maybe that emboldens warehouses around the country, talking about thousands, and the company employs up to 1 million blue-collar workers around the country who potentially could express an interest and go forward with a union drive.